Hello and welcome to Single and Complete. It is a new day, it's a new dawn, it is a new beginning, another opportunity to make the right choice and do the right thing. We live in unprecedented times, and it is important for us to ensure that we keep ourselves safe. In the last episode, I shared how I separated myself. And in that place of separation, God taught me the principle of forgiveness. And I remembered in the last episode, I plead with us to allow ourselves to heal. Because if we don't do that, then we expose ourselves unnecessarily, and we can be damaged emotionally if we don't take care of ourselves. Today, I am going to be talking to us about setting boundaries. We need to bear in mind that we are very, very vulnerable being single and looking after the children. I believe God has brought us to a place where we're ready to move on, but we need to set ourselves boundaries that are appropriate. And I'll get to that in a minute. We need to set boundaries, appropriate boundaries for ourselves. The boundaries I'm talking about is not the type of boundaries that the purpose of it is not to punish our ex. The purpose is not to prevent our ex from seeing their children. It is not to stop all our other relationships, because we are relational people. We cannot stand alone. We need people around us. So the purpose of setting these boundaries I'm talking about today is not to stop all our other relationships. The purpose of setting these boundaries I'm talking about today, is to protect our emotional well-being. Remember, we were on a journey. And we got to that bus stop. I always call it bus stop when God encounters me, or when I experience something new. I call it a bus stop. And when we got to that bus stop of forgiveness, and I allowed God to work in me, to heal me from the inside out. Because if we're not healed from the inside, then the outside skin can cover the pain, but it's just really not going to work. So after I've come to that place of being healed emotionally, I need to maintain that, my well-being, my emotional well-being. And how do I do that? I need to guard myself. You need to guard yourselves, my sisters and my brothers, by setting appropriate boundaries around yourself. It is important to identify the boundaries I'm setting. Boundaries with my ex, boundaries with extended families, boundaries with friends. Because if these boundaries are not set, you can easily get worn out. I can easily get worn out. Because what happens is that people bring all sorts of different things and they just dump it on you. Bearing in mind that I am still healing, I'm still in the process. God is still working. God will continue to work in us until we get to that place of perfection. And I cannot tell you now that I'm in that place of perfection yet. I'm still a work in progress. So I need to guard myself. My brother, my sisters, my friends, you need to guard your emotional well-being. It's really, really important. protect your emotional well-being. Listen, this is about you. It is about you. So you have the right to say no to anything. Don't allow any junk to be dumped on you. You don't need to open your door to everything that is coming out from outside. You don't need to. You need to say exactly what you need. Make it clear what you want to ascertain your own sanity. You need to make your points clear. And stay simple. You don't need to over-explain things. Make it simple, as you all know an explanation. Remember, this is about your emotional well-being. You need your mind to be sound. I need my mind to be sound. There is a purpose for our lives. And we need to ensure that we identify our desired boundary. We need to ensure that we say exactly what we need. I need to say exactly what I need. I need to make it simple. I don't need to over-explain what I need. Reason being that it's about my well-being. It's about the well-being of my children. And you can imagine living in a house, in an environment where there is junks, it's all cluttered, and there's mess, there is dust. We cannot. I mean, that is not. It's not good for us. It's not good for your well-being. It's not good for my well-being. And we can open up ourselves, our emotions, to all sorts of junks. And the only thing is, it takes us back to where we were. I don't want to be where I was before God met me. I don't want to be where I was before God started to work in me, to forgive and to let Him work in me. I don't want to be there again. And the only thing that can help me not to go back to where I was is to guard my emotions, to ensure my emotional well-being. And one of the areas where I can do that is to set boundaries. And say why these boundaries are important to you. Let's take, for example, boundaries with my ex. I am on the driver's seat when it comes to my boundaries, because I am the one that is trying to guard my emotion. I choose to communicate what I want to communicate about the children, especially when they were younger. Now they're adults and they can make their decisions now. But when they were younger, because we separated when my children were very young, and I had to set the boundaries in terms of how their dad have contact with them, what time he comes to pick them up, what time he drops them. That needs to be arranged. Because if that is not well arranged and agreed, then there will be problem. Because the mind I'm trying to protect, I won't be able to do that. I won't be able to. It just messes everything up for me. And everything that affects my children will affect me. So I need to get that right. And I must say, it wasn't easy initially. It wasn't easy at all. But with God's help, I was able to. Please, 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 my sisters and friends, don't use your children to get at your ex. That is not setting boundaries, except if you see that there is danger. If there is danger, then you need to seek help. Allow your children to have contact with your ex. He is still their father. The children, when they grow up, they find things out themselves and they can decide which way they go. But please don't be in that middle, because it doesn't help, especially when they grow up. God forbid the children you're trying to protect turn against you to hate you. Please don't do that. Set boundaries in terms of when he comes to pick them up, when he brings them back. If you feel that isn't working, communicate it. Talk about it so that things can be right. Remember, you want to protect your emotional well-being. That is really key. For me, I don't know about you, I don't like fighting. I like peace. And sometimes these things can go up and down, and it can become messy, and I don't like that. So it's best for me to make sure I make proper arrangements. And if it's not working, you can seek legal advice, especially when you have a contact order from the court, which must be adhered to. You need to seek help, seek legal help if possible. My arrangement with children was private with my ex, and it was working well. When it wasn't, we had to talk about it and look for other ways to sort things out. The fact that you have forgiven your ex and maybe you've moved on. My ex has moved on. He's married. He's got his children. So I have to respect that. And I'm not going to be imposing myself. I need to set that boundary. Because hearing stuff that are not necessary, that I'm not involved in, doesn't help my emotional well-being. Remember, this is for you. Your mental well-being is really important. Also with friends, setting boundaries doesn't mean you have to chase your friends away from you. But there are times in your life when you just want those friends around you that will stand with you, that will pray with you, that will support you, that will guide you in the right way. That is part of setting boundaries. Because when you're alone, you don't have much time to poke into people's business. You want to be focused. My sisters, my friends, you need to stay focused. Set boundaries for in-laws. I know that I am fortunate. I don't have in-laws who are fussy or putting their nose into my life. Once I've moved on, and but for some, you may need to stand firm and set your boundaries from the onset, because some in-laws are not easy to manage. You need to set your boundaries. You don't have to pick every call. If you know that what they're going to say is going to upset you, don't pick the call. And if you accidentally pick the call and they start to talk, what you don't want to hear, tell them, I'm sorry, I can't listen to you now. Put the phone down. You have a right to your sanity, my friends. You have a right. You have a right to your sanity. It's really important that you maintain your sanity. And don't isolate yourself. I said, I have friends. I have friends. Not many friends. I have few friends who I know are with me. They are with me, and I know that I can pick the phone and call them. They pick the phone and call me, not to gossip. I separated myself from gossips. I don't want to hear gossips. No friend, any friend that doesn't add value to my life, to your life, you don't need them at this stage in your life. This is the time we need to really, God has helped us so far, helped me so far, to come out from that place of unforgiveness to a place where I need to start focusing, and I need to start with myself. You need to start with yourself. Set appropriate boundaries. Identify your desired boundaries. Say exactly what you need. Don't feel you owe anyone to any explanation. Make sure you ascertain your own sanity, what you want. Be clear about it. Make it simple. Don't make it complicated. Don't add junk into it. Say why this is important for you. My sanity is important to me, and nothing is going to steal that away from me. I am going to make sure that the boundaries I set for myself, for my children, will be secure in such a way that I'm not going to allow any junks to come into my life. Please, my sisters, as I said at the beginning of this episode, we're in unprecedented times. There is no time to waste at all. Don't allow junks in your life. Allow yourself to be free, and also to concentrate and focus on what's important by setting appropriate boundaries around yourself. Bring the right people around you. Allow yourself to be. It's okay to be. It's okay if I don't want to pick up the phone and talk. It's okay if I don't want to talk about certain things. It is okay. Set those boundaries and don't allow your life to be ruled by anyone but by God. And I know that by His grace, whatever boundary you set for yourself, whatever boundary I set for myself, by the grace of God, we'll be able to stand. We'll be able to maintain our well-being, emotional well-being. We'll be able to focus on what we need to do. We have a purpose to fulfill. And I pray that God will help us. If you don't know God, if you don't know Jesus, He's the only one that's made a difference, a huge difference in my life. And He can do the same for you. He can do the same in your life. Why don't you open your heart to Him? Why don't you allow Him to come into your life, to stay into your heart, to stay today? Today is the day of salvation. Ask Jesus to come into your life. This is your sister, your friend, Olayinka Okeowo. Why don't you link up with me on my Instagram, Single and Complete, Instagram and YouTube, Single and Complete, or link up with me on my email. Drop me an email, singleandcomplete@outlook.com. Let's have a chat together, and maybe you can bring some suggestions as to what we can do next. I'll see you in a couple of weeks. You look after yourself. God bless you.